So
I know you.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Because there have been a lot of talks about, the struggles that the offense has been having and conversations about Bruce that you and him have been having, about this offense. What do you think has to change kind of going forward for the Wolves to be a better offense?
Well, I mean, obviously we gotta get the ball in the end zone. We gotta score points, but I think the most important thing is we gotta get in a rhythm in a drive. I think in order for us to be able to be the offense that we want to have, we have to stay on the field. And when you look at our third down, conversions the last few weeks, it's been unacceptable. And so it's hard to get in a rhythm. Running the football, it's hard to stay ahead of the chains when you're not converting third downs and you're having 3 and outs, and that's something that it's going to be hard to have success. And so I think that's the biggest thing is us just being able to stay on the field, get in a rhythm, and then being able to have the whole offense to our disposal.
Joe, how would you describe your philosophical alignment with Coach Rule?
Oh, we're on the exact same page. Coach Rule and I, we talk regularly, he's in on meetings and everything like that, and so we see everything the same way.
So when Matt talks about trying to slow Sam down with his drops, how do you do that? I mean, do you think about putting him under center more? I mean, how do you kind of slow him down to get the timing back where it needs to be?
Yeah, I think a lot of that just starts in practice. Is just just in individuals and just getting comfortable. And I think there's it can be things under center. It can be just certain plays, just certain reads where just calming the feet down and slowing it down. So it's not anything where it's a drastic, something that's should take a lot of time, or it's like how do you improve it? It's just something of just getting them under control and just slowing it down where it's where not only the game slowing down for him, or his feet's taking him through the progressions and slowing down for him.
Do you think the pass protection and the issues there the last month or so has sort of made him a little quicker in his drops and in the pocket?
No, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think naturally. We haven't been having the success regardless, and so, sometimes you have the knack. We feel like either we have to, maybe do too much, or we have to, I have to get it to this guy, or not saying he has to, but I think there's always, things that can just naturally go on. But I don't think it's anything having to do with, him worried about what's happening up front.
You guys spent much of the offseason, though, working on his footwork and trying to get that down, and it felt like he didn't accomplish that the first 3 games. So what changed?
Look, I think without getting into specifics of it, I think it's just naturally right now in the flow of our pass game right now. I don't think it's anything where it's something that I think it's just important to just go back and just look at tape from the beginning and see, hey, this is kind of how the pass game was looking initially. This is how you were looking initially. Hey, receivers, this is how our routes were looking, and us just kind of knowing that, hey, some of the plays are the same plays, and why is the execution changed? And so I think it's just us just recognizing it and just continuing to work on it, and I have no doubt that we'll be able to get it back.
When you look back, what were the things particularly that worked weeks 1, 2, 3?
Well, I think the outside of the Jets game, the biggest things in some of the games were stayed on the field. Time of possession was. When we have a defense that we have, we know what it takes to win the football games, as a team. And when you have a defense that is playing like our defense, you stay on the field, you keep offenses off the field, and then you convert in third downs. Obviously, you got it. Once you get in the red zone, you got to put the ball in the end zone. But I think that's a critical thing. So staying on the field and being able to run the ball, play efficient, not force, not have turnovers and third down. And I'm saying nothing that's out of the ordinary, but I think that's something that the last few games is turnovers, third downs, not being able to stay on the field. Has been critical.
The way New York used Daniel Jones, getting him out on the run and booting him, is that something that you can take and put in Sam's bag, or at least get him more out, or is that something that you can't necessarily do with the way the line is playing currently?
No, I think everything's always on the everything's always on the table. I don't think there's anything that's like, hey, we can't do this or whatnot. So I mean, it's something on a week-to-week basis. We evaluate everything and kind of see, hey, this week against Atlanta, what's the best way that, whether it is get him out of the pocket, whether it is on these certain drops or this type of protection, just depending on the the team that we're facing, how we feel like we match up against them, and from that standpoint and dictate it. But no, I think everything's available for that.
How much do you feel like you've gotten away from the run maybe before you should have?
I think you know in every game you're always going to come back and be like, hey, I wish we would have run the ball a little more. And I think so, I think a critical thing is starting drives, not necessarily running the ball, starting drives, but just staying ahead of the chains and say it regularly, whether it's a pass or a run, staying in a down and distance that you can be able to follow a good run with a run or stay consistent and be able to go with it. When you have some incompletes to start the drive, or if you have a gain of 0 to start the drive and you're behind the chains, it does make it difficult. But every game, win or loss, you're always going to naturally want to come in here and say you wanted to run the ball more. The 2 games prior, you get into some of the down 2-score games and you feel like you're having to throw the ball, and that's obviously never a recipe for success when you have to throw the ball every single snap. At the the last quarters of the game, quarter and a half. So that's been a thing of us continuing needing to run the ball in order for us to do it. We obviously have to have success to stay on the field.
How do you counter defenses that are sort of sliding safeties, DJs with?
When you look at it, I haven't seen it as much of teams either doubling him or taking DJ away or sliding it to him. I think it's more of with the progression of our offense of the quarterback and the receivers, everybody just understanding and just taking the progressions with it and moving DJ around necessarily if that was the case. But I think it's more of just the quarterback just playing within progressions and just taking what the defense is giving us regardless of where they're dropping down from.
There have been open guys that either Sam has missed or not thrown to. Do you have to change the way he thinks about his progressions in order to find those open guys better?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I have to do a better job at putting these guys in position to have success. And so one way or another, whether we're throwing and catching it, or we're not throwing it and catching it, whether we're converting it, whether there's guys open, there's not guys open, at the end of the day, if we're not having success, I'm doing something wrong. And so, it's just every week just coming in and saying, hey, what's it going to take to win this game? What are we doing well? And the things that we aren't doing well, why aren't we doing it well? And I don't think it's anything, when you really sit down and go through it, it's nothing drastic. It's nothing like this is unbelievable. I can't believe we're not having success at this. I think it's little things, but little things turn into big things. And if you're not converting on third down, if you're not throwing and catching, it's going to be hard to have success in this game.
So are you at all using Robbie differently than Robbie and DJ differently than you used them last year? Is that a matter of having different quarterbacks?
I think a lot of the acquisitions we made in this offseason was to. We sat down and we looked and we tried to mold our offense around, the guys that we had and kind of change it around. So it's not necessarily using Robbie in different roles. We're playing some different defenses that we saw last year and you're able to utilize different things with it. But no, Robbie's still being utilized. He's still running the same type of routes and whatnot that he was running last year.
So why do you think that he hasn't had as much success this year as he was able to have last year?
I think some of it has to do with the type of defense that might have been read through the play. Whether the quarterback's seeing it and kind of progressing across, knowing that hey they might be taking it away, or us just throwing and catching, and us just there's I think there's a lot of different things. I think the biggest thing is us just trusting in what we're doing systematically, and him trusting that hey when he is going to be there we got to take it, and when we do take it he's got to make the play.
Are you frustrated?
Excuse me?
Are you frustrated over the past month, as the offense has kind of sputtered?
Yeah, I think you're a competitor, so no matter what, you come out of games, you want to win the football game, and you're the natural competitor. Even when you win a football game, you come in and you're always going to find things that you could have done better and you should have done better. And so, if you really trust in the process that you should approach it every single week the exact same. So when you're not having success, it's obviously frustrating, but you can't let 1 week roll into the next week, roll into the next week. You have to come in on Monday, figure out what it's going to take this week and kind of approach from that. So frustration, and when you lose, you're frustrated. But you can't let the past week's frustration, mold into the next one.
Well, first, nice to meet you. My name's Ellis. I'm the Observer's new Panthers reporter.
Nice to meet you, brother.
You really like to focus on matchups and split them when you can. When your guys aren't winning those one-on-one matchups as a coach and a play caller, what can you do to offset that and make it easier on your guys?
Well, I have to obviously do a better job of finding those matchups and moving the guys around and figuring out what the matchup should be. And so it's a natural inclination. I think a lot of times is saying, hey, this guy's got to make a play. But I think as the coach, the player knows, hey, I got to make the play. But as the coach, if plays aren't being made, then I got to do a better job with it. And so I think that's something that we look into. And whenever you get the advance, you kind of figure out, hey, what are the D linemen that we got to potentially take advantage of? Is there a linebacker matchup, a safety, corner, and try to put your guys on that. And if you come out of a game and you're not having success at something in those matchups, then we got to do a better job at that.
Could that be more play action ways of doing the holds secondary rather than looking at?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. Sometimes it could be just hey, we didn't get the matchup that we thought we were going to, or hey, we did, and it didn't work out, or it's just a matter of hey, are the plays where we're trying to attack the sides of the places in the field. So it's not necessarily always just a this man on this man matchups. It might be more attacking zones in the field and locations. And so obviously when the way that our offense has been the last few weeks, we have to all stay in this together, but we have to do a better job of executing and when we get the matchups, take advantage of them.
I know last.
Last thing, as you look at Atlanta's defense, what is it you expect about a DB's defense and what the challenges they present?
Well, I mean, just being in this. Well, he's obviously, almost 50 years in this profession. I mean, he's one of the best. But then when just being in this division, a guy like Grady Jarrett, I mean, he as dynamic as it gets up front. And on a year after year, I mean, it's one of those. I've been in this division. This is, I guess, year 4 for me, and it doesn't look like he ever slows down his motor. And so up front, that is something that that he's an elite football player. They always have linebackers. They did a great job against us last year, and so they utilize their guys, in a great way. And right now, and they're not coming off a win last week, right? So they're feeling well, and it's going to be a big challenge for us.
I know a lot of your runs have a pass kill on them in terms of an audible, but do you almost feel like you have to force feed the run in a way to say, hey, you know what? Even if we're running against a disadvantageous box, we have to still maintain the run in order to maintain some kind of balance?
Yeah, I think there's there's certain weeks that you sit there and you're like, hey, we want to run this into this box, and if they want to play this, hey, we'll take this pass. There's certain ones where it's like, hey, we want this a run to run, and we're good regardless. And so I think when you look at your base run package week to week, it's not, hey, it's all going to be killed versus this. Certain weeks it kind of changes, but ideally when you are calling a run, you want to run the ball. But if they're playing a defense that it is not an advantageous look for you, then sometimes you're running into you're not putting yourself and your players in the best position to have success. But in opportunities where you want to run the football, you're hoping you're calling plays that you feel good about, runs to runs or whatnot.
Joe, back to
Good.
Go ahead.
Keeping a lot of those routes underneath helps Sam with his timing and get the ball a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different variables that come with in the pass game of us needing to do a better job, and I think you can point to, hey, we got to be able to take more shots, and then you can sit there and say, hey, we got to be able to take the underneath throws. So to me it's more of we're really just preaching of our guys. Really just everyone just has to control what they can control and make the plays that are that they can make. Don't have to do anything more and just play within the system. Sam needs to trust that regardless of it's me running the route or DJ Moore running the route, that I'm going to do my job and he'll do his job, and the line will protect. And if everybody is doing that, I know we're going to have success.
On those progressions, what can you and Sean do to kind of get Sam back there, and why is he not seeing the field as well as he did early in the year?
No, I think it's we just have to as a coaching staff and just put him and make sure he's fully understanding exactly what we want, or how we see this play fitting and whatnot. Not saying that that's what's been happening, but I think that we have to continue to do a better job of making sure he's seeing exactly the picture that that we're painting, and hey, these are the different variables that can happen, and just making sure that he's fully just understanding, hey, well, this is the footwork for this play, this is that, I think so far this week he's a great grasp of what we're doing, and he's confident, and I'm excited for Sunday.
And how much of that is not trusting his protection?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How much of that is not trusting protection, getting him back where he needs to be? But if he doesn't trust his protection, then it just seems like it'd be very tough to get him to change.
Yeah, I think as you guys know, Sam keeps it even cool. So he's not one of those guys that he's we just got out of a protection meeting. I mean, he's as confident in those guys. He's ready to go, and he if we're asking him to, hey, trust that a receiver is going to be in the right spot, to throw it to him, then he has to trust that offensive lineman is going to do his job as well. And so the offensive lineman has to trust that the quarterback's going to get the ball out on time, and it all comes full circle. And so there's not a level of in our room, in our unit, that there's trust issues with that. I think everybody believes that the guys are going to do their job, and they have to have that mindset, or you're not going to be able to have success.
Is Willie Snead an option this week?
I think everybody's a possibility this week. Everybody's up as long as they're on our football team.
I wasn't sure if he was going to be here in time to get enough reps.
Yeah, obviously being with Willie before, I think that always is, is a possibility. But we'll see what everything brings.
I was going to ask about your familiarity with him, what you like about him in your time spent, I guess, in 2017.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's been a few years since we've had him, and obviously it's been a few years since you guys have had him, been around him too. But Willie's obviously he's extremely tough football player, has a veteran presence to him, has strong hands, is a great route runner. So, I think he'll bring we would just bring another body to that room that not a body, but a guy that I feel like is going to help us win football games. And so I'm excited to have his mentality and his just around us.